Good Wednesday evening, everyone. You are watching Direct Line, which we're joined today by Montgomery County GOP Chairman Del Lamiman. Our hosts tonight are Jackie Saxton and Adam Wood, Executive Director of the Maryland GOP, and Jackie Saxton is the President of the MDYRs, as well as Second Vice President of the Montgomery County Republican Club. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Dwight. Del, thank you so much for joining us. There's been a lot going on in Montgomery County recently, so we're excited to hear about it from you.
Oh, well, there are two things going on at the moment. If you want most immediate, I'll back up to last night, and that was our National Night Out, and we had about 15, 18 sites covered. So we're about 36 people out collecting signatures for our petition to limit the county executive to 2 terms. And while that's, good government, it's also advantageous for our party to be involved in it for a number of reasons, not all of which I wish to broadcast. But anyway, anything else you want to hear about?
Well, definitely want to talk about what's been going on with MCPS and the parents finally standing up for their parental rights and their kids in schools.
It's very exciting, and when the very first, there's a lot of things about it that are really positive. But when they had the first big rally, you see some of the press pictures, and there was a group of 5 or 6. African-looking, dark people holding up, professionally made signs that said something like, stop voting Republican, stop voting Democrats, didn't vote Republican, and we have no idea who they are. We didn't make the signs for them. We've been trying to find them, but we believe they're part of the Ethiopian community, and we've talked to some of them. I have been interested in strengthening our ties with the Muslim community in Montgomery County for some time. Tried to find some places to speak up in the past when there's been Islamophobia around, to at least let them know that the party here in Montgomery County is not part of that. But our headquarters is a couple doors down from the Muslim Montgomery County Charity Office. And so each once a month when we do our open house, one of the things we do is to ask people to bring canned goods, which we take over to them. So that's a way of establishing a more of a relationship. There is an issue, though, that there are at least 3 different groups involved in these. Aside from all the individuals who are just there on their for their own good reasons, but they're organized groups there, and several of them don't want to do anything to do with the other. And that makes it, that's politics. But all in all, to have to have new people interested in the same issue that we are, even though some of them don't trust us, and they told us so, we agree on this issue, and we'll find Muslim people are generally quite conservative on family values, and so that's a positive. And on all the other issues, there's a good percentage of them who are interested in national security, or interested in some of the same we are. Even though I heard a survey result night before last that we only have 18% nationally of the Muslim vote, but there's that may be the past.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned that you're trying to reach out to some of these groups. Have you been successful in, working with the Central Committee to reach out to them with targeted ads or mailers, anything like that?
Primarily what we've done so far, just to be clear, we have different people talking to different groups. We don't have one person talking to all 3. So Sully has had numerous conversations with if you don't know me, I don't remember anybody's name, including my 2 sons. The gentleman who Kareem or Raheem or whatever it is, he's talked to him a number of times. We have some other people who are talking to the other groups, and that's how we know that they don't want us walking around with a big Republican sign right behind them. But we really are becoming more clearer and clearer to many of them that we're in agreement on a lot of these subjects.
So do you think that even if they're not going to be outward Republican activists or members of the party, you think that they might start to lean in their voting more red?
Oh, I think that we will be on a team when we vote for school board next time. And there's nothing more grassroots than that. And we're going to, there are a couple of the Democrats on the county council who have really done themselves poorly. And I think, that could help us. Of course, we're a long way from being close to having one element make a difference in a county council race. But every element we can put together will, encourage future candidates. So, we'll do what we can.
Got something, Adam?
Well, I was just looking at Craig's question, actually. Not to veer off to the left, but I think it's a good question. What did you think of Governor Westmore's town hall last night, or did you see it?
I was out on National Night Out, so I would not have seen that. And if I'm not home, I'm not sure that I would have tuned into it. Does anybody see it and know what the critical issue would be?
I have to admit, I didn't watch it myself. That's not how I like to spend my time.
Right, that makes three of us.
I have to say, though, if we're talking about Westmore, I really got a kick out of when the gas tax kicked in, the upgrade, which we've been yelling and screaming about all this time. And the Democratic legislators are so now. Okay, Democratic legislators are so proud of themselves to have this kick in automatically. And when it kicked in, somebody asked Westmore about it. He says, "Oh, this could be really difficult for some of our citizens. We should look into this further." And I could just watched all the Democratic legislators groaning and grabbing their hair. I enjoyed that.
Well, and I'm a homeowner in Montgomery County. I know you are as well with your land. And Montgomery County chose to pay for Kerwin by upping our property taxes 5% this year. So that was something else I know that's hurt a lot of people in this county in their bank accounts.
Yeah. At the risk of bringing up ancient history, I ran for this legislature in 1974. And at that time, the issue which I was running on was that the state was trying to take over what it appeared that the state was trying to take over all these programs. Prior to that, we in Montgomery County built our own schools. Now we're being asked to build all the schools in the state. And there were issue after issue of this type. I got into debate with Ida Mae Garrett to go into ancient history further on the subject. And she said, "No, the people of Montgomery County are happy to pay more money to help the poorer parts of the state." And I said, "Good, let's run on that. You run on yours, I'll run on mine." But anyway, we lost out. And I worked in the state legislature 73, 74. And as these bills would come up, if there was confusion on the floor, there was one or the other. I particularly remember a old-time Democratic senator from probably St. Mary's of that range, and he'd say, "Well, but just to be clear, everyone here, this legislation is good for everyone in the state of Maryland except for the Golden Hills of Montgomery." He would actually say that on the floor of the Senate. It's one of those bills. Yes, we know what we're doing. And that was the process that we went through. And that was all the way back to 74, and that's been going on since then. So we are paying the lion's share, or lion's not a good. We're paying a great disproportionate share of all these bills for all these programs that the state has taken over. And meanwhile, we don't get to make our own decisions on our school construction. It was a really bad deal all around.
So you've been in Montgomery County for a long time then.
I moved down here in 1960.
So can you talk about like when we start to see this shift? Because I know at some point we've had Republicans elected here.
Oh, my favorite question.
Yeah.
I got involved in the late 60s. And when I moved down here in 1960, during the Kennedy-Nixon campaign, actually. But when I got involved, the Republican Party was the majority party. I mean that. I'm not in registration, but we had a majority of the delegation to the state legislature. We had a majority of the county council. And then I was involved in the effort to change our charter, to become a complete home rule. That's not the right term. A charter, executive form of government, whatever the right term is, which was there was bipartisan, but it looked to me where I was, it was Republican led, but then that was appropriate. And so in 1970, when we elected our first county executive, he was a Republican. So that's where we were. And all that had to happen for it to start downhill is for me to decide to run for office. So in 74, when the next long ballot year, when we expected to be kicking on, and I mean, we can be honest about it, I was expected to win. Plus, I got to draw my own district. And you can ask me that question later if you'd like to know why. But then we had this little wrinkle called Watergate. And at least in Bethesda, where I was running, it just shut down. Nobody even came. League of Women Voters debates in those days were a big deal. They filled big halls. Nobody showed up. Everybody just bunkered down, didn't want to talk, and they voted party line. And I lost to Nancy Kopp. Everybody know who she was? But anyway, who was a friend of mine, so it didn't matter. But anyway, yes, we were. And when I talk to trying to recruit clients, candidates now, I tell them that this is all cyclical. So we had this period. If it gets really slow later, I'll give you the ancient history how we came to be in charge. But the Democrats ran, the Southern Democrats ran the Montgomery County. I'll leave it at that. And there came a time when the demographic changed a little bit, and a little more, and the leaders of the Democratic Party were segregationists. And I don't mean we're accusing them. They were proud, self-proclaimed segregationists up through the 50s and into the 60s. And that allowed us as Republicans to come in and take over and build all the way up to the 70s. And then Watergate was the beginning of our downfall, of our slide down. And with all the changes in the demographics, again, this time not going in our favor, it's really been a pretty uninterrupted downslide. Hogan helped slow that down a little bit for a while, but our immediate past president accelerated it further.
So you're saying it's cyclical. So it's been about 30 years now since that change has happened. You think we're getting back ready for that upswing?
That's what I tell the potential candidates. The upswing's got to come sometime. What goes down has to come back up. And the other side of that is our local Democrats, the county council particularly, are so far out there that most registered Democrats don't agree with what they're doing at all. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to get, having no local newspapers anymore. We used to have really good ones and well-read and competing local newspapers. It's hard to get messages out in the shadow of the national capital. But I had hoped with Sully's campaign, we had a chance maybe to get more audience. We had a chance that the losing Democrats in the primary would have had some of his active people come. In fact, during the primary, they told us they would, but they disappeared all of a sudden when they coalesced behind the party. So this parents' rights, and with the school board saying, and a lot of school issues which the county council backs, and we've got their individual on record for it, could shake some people loose. They've had enough. The school district redistricting, rebounding, really hit a lot of people out where I am. It was what you'd call a school gerrymander. Enough of these things. I would say we're probably going to have a little help on the national level before we can break free of the unfortunate image that we have in Montgomery County at the moment.
So how do you...
Del,
yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, sorry, Del, I liked what you were talking about earlier about kind of re-engaging some of these people. I mean, if we're going to be on this upswing, there's a lot of people that we really just have to reintroduce ourselves to. And you were talking earlier about community events that you've done kind of in the past, and I think that's kind of what we've been pushing from the state party level. Do you have any other, what other efforts do you have to just engage people in the community? Because we can't, I mean, as I think you and I have discussed before, the first time we re-engage these people can't be, please, can I have your vote? It needs to be in their community. So what are you doing to that?
Well, the easy way out of that question is to mention things we have been doing, although they're not enough. Some of the community activities, for instance, I'm in the western part of the county and as well with our political organization out here for a while. The Poolsville Day in September is a venue where we get claps when we go to in our parade. So we get the Legislative District 15 group, where that is, plus the rural Montgomery Women's Republican Club, rural club, which is centered out of the Poolsville area. We combined, and we have one or two antique fire engines, which are nice red color, particular banners on it, and my truck, which is at 600,000 or 700,000 miles, is looking seedier and seedier than it did the first parade. We cover it with signs, and I have a big wooden stanchion that stands way up above the cab, and we put different signs on that, candidate signs in the appropriate year or whatever else, and people clap. I get somebody else to drive, and I walk down, and I know some of the people. We talk. That's a positive. Now, Potomac is the other one that we do, but nobody much claps for it. If they do it secretly when we go by. But those are things we've been doing for a while. But some of the women's clubs do significant nonpartisan, non-political community stuff. So again, the rural club, which I'm an associate member of, they give out a scholarship every year. They probably spend, I don't know, 1/3 to 1/2 their money on community charity things. They're well known, they're recognized. They march in the parade up ahead of us. I know last time, one of the parades recently, I had Dan Cooter driving my truck, and I was walking, and I may have had somebody else walking with me, and we got separated a little bit. And all of a sudden I went back to Dan, and I said, hurry up, get closer. They're cheering for the women, get closer to them, because the local people know them. Now, that's a secluded corner. It's bounded by Frederick and the Potomac River, and they're insular out there, so that's an ideal situation. But some of our people elsewhere are associated clubs are making some from. I can't. That's an answer that allows me to talk, but it doesn't say anything how we're going to do better. I have to confess that I'm primarily a party nuts and bolts guy. So I'm interested in how to get votes out, how to get registration up, how to institute the ballot chasing, and as you and I have talked about, the efforts to improve what the state party is going to make available to us, so that we can. When I found out what the Democrats had this time around, I threw a real temper tantrum because we had nothing like that. So all those things to do. But in terms of the PR, I listen to a lot of people, and we have a lot of ideas, but we get a few letters to the editor published from time to time. Some people are good at it, and they get them published in the second paper in DC. We get a little bit occasionally on the what is now called Montgomery MoCo 360 or whatever their current name is. Sully invested a good bit of time with the publisher of that 2 years ago. But when they assign a reporter to cover one of us, they're looking for how to do us in. I do not have a magic answer to your question.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is. It's difficult, right? I mean, you're talking about the field ops, and we're talking about ballot collection, we're talking about community events, and there's just so much work that needs to be done if we're going to have that upswing.
But as the question you're asking is still relevant. We can do all that.
Yeah.
But if we don't have a change in our general image, I'm just talking about Montgomery County. I'm not taking on the country. If we don't have a change in our general, how we are viewed as a party in the county by the local county people, we have a hard time getting started. We have a hard time getting our candidates halfway through their elevator speech when they meet in small groups. So we need a breakthrough in that area, and then we can start building with groups. And we don't believe in the identity politics, but we have actually, truth be known, two competing Republican Hispanic groups, and they're active, and they're bringing in a few more people, and we can do some more of that. But we're going to I believe an opportunity will show itself, and we need to be ready. That's sort of my speech in terms of the nuts and bolts work. It would be something that we would all regret if we suddenly had some big thing that was a breakthrough, and we've been sitting around moaning and groaning that it's not possible, or registration is too low, and we weren't ready to take advantage of it. So my pep talk to people is we need to be ready, and we need to get all these other things in place so when the opportunity comes, we can take advantage of it.
Well, we're kind of experiencing that right now, aren't we? I mean, we've got the Muslim parents there right there. We've got record numbers of Hispanics voting for Republicans. I mean, the moment seems to be now, and maybe I'm an optimist.
Have you seen Hispanic voting figures for Montgomery County?
I have not.
Okay, I know that throughout the country, there are places we were all very encouraged by what happened in Florida. And I'm not sure what's in Montgomery County. I have some experience with a couple different sections of it. I used to teach in the prison up here, and so I which was 40% Hispanics. I had got some pretty intimate insight to some of the community, and that just completely detached. They have no interest one way or another in politics. We have the Hispanic businessmen, the guys running the landscaping companies and all that sort of thing, and they tend to be pretty sensible, but I don't know any way to access them except one at a time.
Right.
So, as we get closer and closer to the primary, which obviously is still months away, but coming up faster than you would think, the key thing is voter registration, right? Getting more people to pick a side since we have close primaries in this state. So what is the county party doing to help bump up those registration numbers prior to the primary?
Well, one of the things I mentioned earlier that even though the 2T campaign, we call it, the two-term, is a nonpartisan campaign, we are collecting signatures in two ways. So we were out like last night and other events, and we're doing that on paper. But Adam, you'll be glad to know the other wing of the operation is trying to get people involved in the neighborhoods, and they are using Numenar for that. And it's gone all right. We've done several pilots, but for the people who are out, we're actually going to Republican households. and our people are carrying with them the information to registered people to vote. We it's been 2-3 months ago now. I made a push to get more Republicans certified voter registrars. And if you're certified like that, you can help people fill out the form, and you can actually walk away with it. You don't have to depend upon them to mail it. And it makes it, once you're certified, it's legal to do that. So we had a preliminary clinic on this in connection with our convention, a breakout session, and we had enough response. I essentially walked the people through the online process, and then they have to show up at headquarters, voters. Anyway, so we had enough people interested that they wanted this, and a lot of the staff at Montgomery County Board of Elections wants us to be happy. First of all, the new directors are Republican. The longtime attorney, which everybody pays attention to, is a Republican, and a couple of the ones that aren't are still. I mean, I've been talking for a couple of years now. They really want to make us happy, so they agreed to come in on Saturday on his day off and run a session just for our people. And he came in. We had 37 people there, and he was so amazed. He kept taking selfies. 37 Republicans in one room. It was so we have people who can do that, and we're sort of assigning them to areas. We're doing. I'll jump to the next subject with the 2T door with the precinct organization. We're trying to use that to help build our precinct organization, which is a little spotty, so we be polite about it. And it gives, when we have a volunteer, we now have something to ask them to do, and they can go out. They're new and go out with an experienced person, and then get in their own neighborhoods. Find out who's already a Republican, because we can find that off Newman or off a sheet, and people are always encouraged to see some neighbors Republican. And then we have to carry with us two different ways they can register. We have the paper, and we also we have a sheet with the QR code on it. They can press and go and register. If there's a second person in their household that's not registered, the kid is not always going to register here in way of college. Yeah, register him here if they're in Republican households. So that and when we have the registrars now, when we have, I mentioned like Poolsville Day and all the other, we probably do about at least a dozen of those in a year. And we don't put up a big sign, register to vote, because we'll register Democrats. Whenever we go out in public, if you put I know our state party once was telling us we should have tables out in front of the supermarkets or something. Not around here, we'll register Democrats. So my intention is this cycle, when we start doing that, we will have a sign where if you come into our tent, there's a table at the back that'll say register to vote, and the registrar is in. There's somebody sitting there, but we're not trying to get every person that goes by. So those are two things to increase registration. We're interested in hearing other plans. I have not heard another plan yet that would be helpful for us in Montgomery County, but I'm keeping my ears open.
So as we wrap up here, Del, is there anything else that you want to plug that the MCGOP is working on or has coming up that you want people to know about?
Well, we'll do Lincoln Day in the fall. We've had 3 very successful events. The Lunar New Year is great because we get 90 people there, half of which we don't see at any other event. And it was both fun because we had light entertainment, we had heavy speeches, serious ones. And the convention was very well attended, and more than nuts and bolts people. And then our summer soiree, we had recently another 85 people, of which over half were people we don't see elsewhere. So we're real pleased about that. And I probably shouldn't say it too loud, but it means we have serious money in the bank this early in the 4-year cycle. I mean, we've got $51,000 in the bank right now. 10,000, which is for our air conditioning unit when it breaks down any moment. But so, I've got to make clear about my governing philosophy here. So we say I leave lots of room for people to make their own initiatives. I'm not someone who has the interest or ability to have their thumb on everything that happens. So we've got a lot of strong people involved in the party, and many of them have taken their own initiative to go out and handle some of these things that I've been talking about. We do an open house once a week. We do a round table, once a month. On a different day, we do a round table, which we set up. Our central committee meetings, they're structured. I try to keep them structured anyway. But so we have so many new people, the central committee, we have them, invite them to come in for a Saturday morning once a month. We can just talk freely. We get to learn about we'll take this month off. But those are some of the things that are happening, and looks good.
Great.
Awesome. And then Adam, what do you have to plug from the state party?
Sure, of course. Always something. One thing I want everybody to just remind everyone, you probably already seen the 20th anniversary salute to Governor Ehrlich. Go to mdgop.org, go to our Facebook, please buy tickets, please buy tables, please get other people to buy tables and tickets. It's going to be a really good event. It's really coming together.
And if they want to save money, they should buy them before August 16th.
Correct. Early bird prices end August 15th at midnight. So
16. Yeah.
Yep. And the event is on October 12th. All right. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining me. We will be back next week with candidate for CD6, Heath Barnes. So tune in then, and have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
Thank you.